Hello, everybody, and welcome to the GT4 Cup Race 4 at Brands Hatch. I am your host, Jeremy Cubbage. Right now, we are seeing drivers finish up their last couple seconds of practice. They will be moving into qualifying shortly. Only 13 drivers on track this week. Apparently, a couple people had to give up watching some basketball for this, so I'm glad they're here. I'm glad they're enjoying their time with us. Except for Nick Kanya, who's just subbed and decided he's going to watch basketball. Tony Danzik in chat. Paul is live. Tony Danzik in chat saying, hey, yo, Tony Danzik up in the top 3 in practice right now. I'm hoping to see him continue to stay in that podium position for the race tonight. And now we're just watching Casey Swanseeger finish up his last little bit of practice before we move on to the qualifying. Like he is the only car out on track right now. This is going to be a fun little race. These cars are quick enough to be a challenge on this track, but the track is narrow enough that it's just going to make it, it's just, I think, a perfect combination between GT4 and Brands Hatch overall. But we'll have to see how these drivers do tonight. I feel like the GT3s are almost just too much work on this track. Anyways, drivers are starting to go out, get their hot laps in. It looks like Nico Menendez will be leading the drivers out on track. Looks really bright again, doesn't it? I feel like the sun is shining directly into the camera in this angle. Maybe that's what's causing it to be bright there. We'll have to see how we do. Yeah, see, look how nice and pretty that is. Okay, so it's just the way the camera is angled there. Nico Menendez in that KTM coming through Pilgrim's Drop, aka straight 3. Everybody's out on track now. Decent amount of space between most drivers. Looks like Sean Bramer and somebody else in between. Andrew Casey and then another driver that I can't look at. All 3 of those drivers, maybe 4. Casey Swanseeger's in the mix too, I think. Drivers driving off track. Sean Bramer again. So they may have to give themselves some space at the end of the outlap to go through turn 10 onto the front straight. Brabham straight is what it's called, I guess, aka the start-finish line. Nico Menendez will be on his hot lap. Surprisingly, Nico is putting down the fastest time right now, but he is also the first driver to cross the start-finish line. So we'll have to see how he does. Tony Danzik is in trail up the hill towards Druids. These drivers both very quick. We saw in qualifying Tony was in P3, so I'm hoping to see him get a podium as well for qualifying. Nico Menendez still on the fastest sector right now. Another driver to watch tonight will be Ilpo. Ilpo has constantly been P1 this entire series, I believe. So we'll have to see how he does. Ilpo's been wishing for rain. We have done nothing but a UK series, and we haven't had one single day of rain. So next week we'll be at Oulton Park, I believe. So we'll see if we are lucky enough to get any rain for that. Nico is coming through turn 8 now. I guess turn 7 or 8. I don't know what that is. Turn 9, Sterling's. Down the clearways straight. Into the final corner. Nico looks like he's going to be fairly quick here. It's showing that he's done a lap. I don't know if that's true or not. Let's see how he does. Crossing the start-finish line. He's done a 1:32 flat. Massively quick time. Tony Danzik right behind 32.1. Car 204, Ilpo, has just beat both of those drivers out in the 31s, 31.410. So over a half second quicker than Nico Menendez. In 4th, JJ Burr currently. Then Brandon Pfeiffer in 5th in the Ginetta. Evan Anthony's just overtaken Brandon Pfeiffer in the Noobs R Us Aston. He's done a 32.4. Joe Allenson in 7th currently. Casey Swanseger in 8th, just crossed the finish line on his first hot lap. Drew Freiberger in 9th with a 33.3. Andrew Casey has done a 33.4. It looks like he's behind a AMG. We'll have to see if he's going to get around or if he's going to back off. We'll have to see how he does. That's Mason Moffitt ahead of him. Glenn Jacobs has done a time right behind Andrew Casey's 34.1. Sean Bramer 34.7. Improving drivers. Looks like the most improvement right now is Joe Allenson, nearly 6/10 up on his time as he goes through Dingledell, up through Sheen's corner. Still half a second up on his time. It's going to be a pretty good improvement here. This could potentially put him into the top 4, top 5. Into the final corner now. Crossing the start-finish line. Joe Allenson moves from 7th into 4th, overtaking J.J. Burr with a 32.130. Other improving drivers, Andrew Casey up 6/10 on his time. Mason Moffitt up a whole second on his time. A second improvement for Mason could move him up. There he goes, up into 9th place. Andrew Casey's moved up into 8th. Both these drivers improving on times. Other improvements, Glenn Jacobs up 6/10 on his time, has done a 34.1 coming through the final corner now. 6/10 is going to be a great improvement. It's not going to be quite enough to move up position though. 7/10, that might be. Nope, staying where he's at, 33.397. So it has to overtake Drew Freiberger for his time. Surprising 3rd place, just jumped out of nowhere. Devin Anthony with a 31.927. Tied exactly with Nico Menendez, 31.927. Tony Danzig still fighting to improve his time. Looks like he's down a little bit as he's getting ready to cross the start-finish line. Not going to make an improvement this lap. J.J. Burr up 4/10 on his time. This is going to be enough to move him up into 2nd place if he's able to hold those 4/10. Currently, he's done a 32.255. Getting ready to cross the start-finish line, 3/10 up. Moves him into 2nd place, like I had said, 31.887. So good time from JJ. Still got 8 minutes left in qualifying. Drivers still making improvements on their times. Casey Swanseger up 3/10 on his time. 3/10 improvement will move him up a single position, overtaking Andrew Casey. Andrew is in the pit lane currently. Casey coming through the final corner now. There we go, overtaking Andrew for that 8th place. J.J. Burr up a 10th on his time. That's going to be an improvement, but not going to be enough to move up position. He still needs to move up 4/10, almost 5/10 to overtake Ilpo for P1. Tony Danzig up 2/10 on his time. It comes through Dingledell and Sheens now. Equal on his time. Lost quite a bit there. Glenn Jacobs making a massive improvement. It looks like he just went too quick into Drew as it's caused the timer to say that he was making an improvement, but he ended up losing that time on the way out. Sean Bramer also trying to improve on his time. Sean Bramer in a generic livery, not a WRT livery. There's a secret coming from the, speaking of WRTs, there's a secret that's going to be announced in 2 days referencing WRT. I'm excited to learn about that and see what it's all about. Share that with you guys. Ilpo seems through the first couple of corners is able to improve on his time. He doesn't need to improve, but he's going to because bragging rights, so might as well. Nico Menendez up 2/10 on his time through the first sector. Up 3/10 now. It's going to be a good improvement and be able to put him in 2nd place over J.J. Burr. He's got to hold that time, though. J.J.'s also making an improvement on his time, so if J.J.'s able to continue to improve, then Nico's improvement will be negligible. J.J. actually behind him on track. We'll have to see how Nico does as he comes through turn 9, Sterling's. Down the clearway straight towards the final corner. Nico's still up 0.2. It still is an improvement and could put him over top of JJ Burr. Will Figgins in chat, 13 months. That's what I'm talking about. That's awesome, Will. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being here. Can't wait to see you start racing again in these GT4s. You need to get some GT4 racing going. But I think you're at work, aren't you? Do you work on Sundays? Nico did make an improvement, overtook JJ Burr. JJ is in the pit lane. 31.622. Ilpo has made an improvement as well. His last lap was 31.225, so he's making improvements. His are very small improvements, though, because Ilpo is just... Oh, a rematch tournament. Gotcha. Speaking of tournaments, another thing. $1,000 prize pool. That's cool. We will be doing a Rocket League tournament, not this Tuesday, but the following Tuesday. Just feel free to join in our Discord. Open to everybody. It'll just be a tournament. I mean, Rocket League's free anyways. It doesn't hurt to join us for a non-racing game tournament for a change. I think that's how we gained like the first 100 people in our Discord, was by having a Rocket League tournament. So, Mason Moffitt making an improvement on his time. He's only through the first couple of corners though, so we'll have to see if he can hold that improvement. He's up 0.3 right now. 0.3 can move him up over Andrew Casey and potentially starting to battle with Casey Swanseeger for time. Losing a little bit of time as he goes through turn 4 now. Still improved, but not quite enough to move up. Glenn Jacobs also improving behind. Mason is now equal on his fastest time, not improving. Up and over Sheen's curve into Sterling's. 0.3 up. He was able to make a pretty good improvement through there. Lost a lot of it through Sheen's. Over clearways, he's equal on his time, so he's going to try and outbreak into the final corner. He's got 3 minutes left. He can still make an improvement. Got a yellow flag from Ilpo. I think he just left the track to go to the pits. No real improvement by Mason there. Joe Allenson getting ready to cross the start-finish line with a 0.2 second improvement. That's going to move him up pretty well, up into top 3, I believe. Start-finish line moves him into third place. Joe Allenson in third with a 31.795. Crashing into the wall, flipping over, something we don't see very often in ACC, and we really don't see often in the Aston. My goodness. Good thing this is a game, am I right? Holy. Mason Moffitt said he's never raced here before, never really practiced here. He's done a 32.920. Still kind of making improvements here and there. Brandon Pfeiffer also making an improvement. Looks like most everybody is crossing the start-finish line and immediately going into a negative time. So either that or they're equal on their fastest. So I have to see how we do. Ilpo showing yellow flag. Devin showing yellow flag. Devin just hanging out at the pit lane exit here. As it looks like Drew Freiberger crossing the start-finish line. Nico Menendez is coming through the first sector now. Up 1/10, 2/10 on his time as he goes through turn 4. Is he going to be able to hold that as he goes on to Pilgrim's Drop straight 3? He is going to hold it for just a moment, losing a little bit of time, but he's still improving this lap. So we'll see if he's able to continue to improve. Not going to be able to put him in first, but it is going to give him that little bit extra gap between second and third if Joe Allenson goes back out. Nico, yellow flag, we're missing it. The camera can't figure it out. Yeah, Nico's in a wall. JJ Burr's making an improvement. JJ, 1/10 up. This is a good thing from JJ. We want to see these improvements. He wants to get back into that podium over top of Joe Allenson. To answer your question that I don't normally watch in Discord there, Will, sure, have at it. It's just going to be you voting on it, so you and Nick Kanya if he ends up watching. JJ Burr up 2/10 into the final corner now. 2/10 improvement could move him up into second place. Is it going to be enough? Going a little bit wide. 3/10 up. It's going to move him up into second place over top of Nico Menendez, pushing both Nico and Joe down to down a position there. So good lap by JJ. Only 3/10 off of Ilpo at this point. Nico, Joe, and Devin all in the pits, not looking to make an improvement on their time. JJ still can. 22 seconds left in qualifying. As long as they cross that start-finish line prior to the 0 mark, they can do another lap. So, Casey Swanseger trying to improve. Drew doing some drifting through Druids. The Druid Drifter. JJ making another improvement, it looks like, through turn 4. Drew Pilgrim's drop now. Turn 5. See how much slip angle he's able to get that AMG as he comes through those corners. In through Dingledell. And over Sheens. You don't like this track. There is a prediction in chat, everybody. Make sure you click on it at the top of chat. Does Andrew finish the race within the top 7? Yes or no? Make your prediction now. Why is Devin just now following us? You can do it, says call sign Tango 1. Tony Danzig, I predict Andrew will kill me in the race. Jeez. You went on board with yourself. Okay, sounds good. JJ going to stay in second there. Last couple drivers out on track. We got Casey Swanseger finishing up his lap. Brendan Pfeiffer looks like he's still out. Nope, that's incorrect. Well, it looks like everybody's on an invalid lap at this point. Qualifying will conclude. The drivers are out on grid. We will get ready for our grid walk, if you will. We need the thing with the stuff. There's the button. You gotta hit a button way down on the thing here. Regardless of what buttons I've got to hit. Get right into it. In P1 is Ilpo. P2, JJ Burr. P3, Nico Menendez, the only KTM driver because the real KTM drivers left. P4, Joe Allenson. P5, Devin Anthony. We need to make sure we get it on board with Devin at some point, hopefully early on. Brandon Pfeiffer in the Janetta in P6. Tony Danzig in P7. His prediction is that Andrew Casey, right behind him there in that top right corner, will rear end him and kill him. So that's his prediction. Casey Swanseger in P8. P9, Andrew Casey. Mason Moffitt in P10, missing the Game 7 for the NBA, I guess. So he's missing that for the race. Happy to have him here. Glenn Jacobs in P11. This may be the last time you see him in a WRT car, just saying. Drew Freiberger in P12. Same thing for him, by the way. Sean Bramer, last but not least, in P13. Only 13 drivers out on track today. They'll be starting their outlap shortly. You're running with default setup. No! I agree. I really like Brands Hatch. I think it's awesome. 5K on Andrew, not in the top 7. Jeez, guys. Well, that's a lot of points. Get your channel points in. We got to find a way to spend these points, guys. If you guys have any suggestions on how to spend these points, please DM me in Discord. That way we can spend them. It's got to be something stream related. I don't know. So help me out. Because the points, they're just there. So I want you guys to be able to redeem them and use them. What's up with WRT? What do you mean what's up with WRT? What's the question? The drivers are about to start their outlap. I'm going to run an advertisement so we don't get interrupted. No love for Andrew. So let's get this advertisement out of the way. If you guys don't want to see advertisements, feel free to use your Prime sub. We don't ask that you actually sub to us because you don't need to spend your money on us. If you do want to support us, feel free to go and do it in Patreon. That's going to be the better way to do it. We run these ads so that you guys don't get interrupted mid-race, although it sometimes happens. So I'm going to run it now so we don't get interrupted. Be right back. Those of you that are sub to us, thank you for doing so. Thank you for being here. We appreciate everything that you do for us. Those of you with your ad blockers, hi, hello, how are you? Hi, how are you? You guys are interested in joining one of these races, exclamation point SimGrid. We'll be starting a new rookie series soon. Our finale is on Tuesday for the rookies. This last rookie series went by really fast. What's up with WRT? Sus. I'm just thinking about how many points people spent on that prediction. It's ridiculous. Thank you for your patience. Just relaxing for a moment before I have to talk for an hour straight about 13 cars. That 5K is just yours. That just makes it even more funny. I forgot that the channel points are called bonks. We need to figure out what we need to use them on, though. We're not actually streaming in Spanish today. I don't have a way to quickly turn that off. Anyways, we're back. The ad is over. We shouldn't be interrupted for about 45 minutes. I'll probably try and run an ad during the mid-pack qualifying, or not qualifying, pit stops. We'll see how that goes. The drivers are coming through the final corners now. Means the music is stopping. Drivers side by side. Down the final straight. This is the most dangerous track, I believe. I'm going to vote this as the most dangerous track in ACC, other than Monza. But even then, Monza's not dangerous. People just drive stupid there. This track is dangerous. Opa leading the pack here, side by side with JJ Burr. Down the front straight they go. Nords? Nope, Nords is less dangerous than Brands.
Green light. Go, go, go.
They're green at Brands Hatch. In the GT4's Ilpo commanding lead into the first corner. JJ Burr right behind him. Devin Anthony getting an overtake done. It looks like on the outside, Nico Menendez able to hold that position. Doesn't look quite like it. Nico's on the inside. Potential 3 wide. Looks like Brandon Pfeiffer backs out side by side now with Tony Danzig. Tony has not been killed by Andrew Casey yet. Senator Tender Donington. Could be. There's Tony Danzig off track. His prediction was that Andrew would kill him. Instead, he drove himself off the track. With that said, Ilpo is starting to run away just a little bit from JJ. JJ is going to stay in that slipstream and pull away from P3. Now outside of slipstream, Nico Menendez is within the slipstream of P3 at this point and has completed the overtake on Devin Anthony. There's a sign in the way of the camera there, so maybe we won't use that camera angle for that straight. The window's open. Anybody that does have damage can always go in and get their pit done. Looks like we had a driver join us, Michael Maleta, without a qualified time. So he's going to be out on track, P14. Just left the pits. Nico Menendez keeping that pressure on Joe Allenson. Devin Anthony right behind with Brandon Pfeiffer in trail. We have completed our first lap. I'm going to move right into the onboard with Devin Anthony for his second lap. staying wide for turn 1. More or less a blind corner, braking right at the point where you brake at, because I didn't know where it was for a moment. Looks like you had a little bit of a disconnect there. Not sure what that was. Braking underneath the sign, hard and heavy, staying on the inside and not let the Ginetta pass you. A little bit late on the throttle for him, but he's able to hold that position and start to run away. Missing the apex just slightly, going really wide here. Ginetta might have a little bit of a run. Is it going to happen? No, it's not. Braking just past the one board there. The really late apex corner. Up and over the hill. And then through Pilgrim's Drop. Braking just before the one board on the left there. Just a nice trail brake corner early on the throttle if you can. Using the car's power to get through that corner. Same for this one as well. Try not to hit too much of the curb on the inside or you will slip there. And then this corner here is the blind corner, so there may be death up here. You can clobber that whole curb on the right side. Don't want to go wide on the exit though, because you'll end up slipping and sliding. Looks like Devin missed the apex there. Ginetta's going to be potentially going for an overtake on the outside of the final corner. Devin not going to let it happen, stays defensive. That was your onboard with Devin Anthony. Devin is staying fairly defensive here against this Ginetta. He is right on his tail. Going into turn 1, Devin moves to the inside line. This is going to compromise his speed on the exit, but not by a lot. It's a very fast corner. Brandon Pfeiffer now has Casey Swanseger behind to worry about. Into the braking zone of Druids they go. Casey Swanseger closing up that gap a little bit to the Ginetta. Also has Andrew Casey behind this train of 4 drivers, all fighting for this top 5 position. Devin is going to hold off for now. I'm going to move the camera back here. I want to see more of these drivers in the back here. Andrew Casey has a potential overtake opportunity on Casey Swanseger. Into the braking zone of turn 4 they go. Casey going a little bit wide there. Going to allow Andrew to try and close the gap. Looks like he actually lost a little bit of time because of it. Brandon Pfeiffer closing the gap up to Devin Anthony again. Kind of a little bit of a accordion effect between all these drivers, and there's that weird camera angle. Change up to TV2 for this. Brandon Pfeiffer keeping that pressure on Devin Anthony. Using all the track to the left there as you can. Up and over the blind corner of turn 8. Into the braking zone of Sterling's. Devin Anthony, see through that back window how close that Ginetta actually is there. Into the braking zone of turn 10. Devin is going to hold this lead temporarily. Ginetta's going off track there. While all of that was happening, Ilpa was able to put down his fastest lap for the race session with a 31.767. Devin Anthony is able to pull away a little bit from Brandon Pfeiffer there. Nico Menendez keeping pressure on Joe Allenson now. You can see him moving to the inside as we go through Druids. He's not going to go for an overtake, but he is trying to just play a little bit of mind games with Joe and send him off his line. Potential overtake opportunity here as that KTM goes wide, slips and slides. Nico's able to save it, get back on track, and lose a little bit of time. Move further back again to Andrew Casey. Now the train has moved back a little bit. Casey Swanseger's leading this train. Andrew Casey going wide. Tony Danzig's going to try and get side by side. Here comes the prediction. Is Tony going to be right on this prediction that Andrew kills Tony Danzig? We'll have to see as both these drivers go into Hawthorne Bend, or Hawthorne Bend. Is it Hawthorne or Hawthorne? Nobody knows. Potential 3-wide situation as they go through Westfield Bend. Down Dingledale. JJ Bird's got a yellow flag ahead. What happened here with JJ? Let's see what happened. It looks like it could have just been alone here as he goes down Dingledale. Then up over the hill. Just a little bit too wide, causing him to slip. It moves JJ down into 7th place with some pretty severe damage, it looks like. You may see him going to the pits fairly early. There he is, going into the pits. With that said, Brandon Pfeiffer's got caught back up to Devin Anthony and has moved to the inside for turn 2. Not able to get the overtake done. Devin does give the position more or less to that Janetta just by going wide there. Devin's going to hold on to it for just a moment as they go through turn 3. Is Janetta going to have the run into turn 4? Doesn't quite look like it. With that said, we were watching Tony Danzig just a little bit ago. He was able to get up and around both Mason Moffitt and Andrew Casey. He's going to try and gain some ground on Casey Swanseger ahead. But the battle right now is between Brandon Pfeiffer and Devin Anthony. Look at it. He's able to gain some ground. Not long enough straight to go for an overtake. At least not with the speed that he had through there. Through Dingledell. Up through Sheen's corner. Devin is not going to be defensive here. He's leaving a little bit of space for that Janetta, but I don't think that Devin is too worried about him. He went for a couple of overtakes, wasn't able to quite get there. We'll go back to that in just a moment as we watch Nico Menendez catch up to Joe Allenson. Potential overtake opportunity as these drivers go towards turn 1. Nico's peeking to the inside, not going to quite go for it. Let's move back. Devin Anthony being defensive against Brandon Pfeiffer. Brandon going really wide through turn 1. He's going to have a great run down the hill. Side by side, they go up the hill towards Druids. He's going to back out. Once again, Devin going wide here. It's going to allow him to be fairly defensive. Doesn't look like it's going to happen this time as they go through turn 3. The overtake has been completed. Brandon Pfeiffer is now in 4th place. Devin has to be defensive against Casey Swanseger at this point. Let's move back to Drew Freiberger in the WRT car. He's got his teammate Sean Bramer just ahead of him. Potential overtake opportunity between these two drivers. Both teammates, both practice with each other. Looks like Sean is able to pull away a little bit through Pilgrim's Drop. Both these drivers in the AMG. They're going to be similar on pace, just different driving abilities. Sean Bramer is pulling away pretty decently here. Almost moved Drew outside of the slipstream range. Got a white flag for Joe Allenson as he slows down for some reason. Looks like there was an overtake that happened between Joe and Nico. Nico is now in 2nd. So we missed that, unfortunately, as we were watching the other battle. So I apologize for that. Nico has ran away from Joe here. I wonder if there was an incident between these two drivers. Looks like there potentially was. Let's actually back this up just a moment and see. Yeah, we can see the overtake here as they go through turn 1. You can see Nico right on his tail. Up into Druids. Nico moves to the inside, sends it to the inside. And then Joe, trying to do the old switcheroo, ends up kind of hitting Nico there. Just making up a name saying, "Let's go, boys." Tony Danzig is caught up to Mason Moffitt. We were talking about Andrew Casey not finishing in top 7. He's in the pits right now. And it looks like he's getting ready to leave the pits. So doing an early pit stop. We'll see if that is going to be a good thing or a bad thing for him. These drivers are required to do 1 pit stop. I just realized I didn't put all that information on screen for you, so I apologize. 1 mandatory pit stop, 0 time is required. So we're going to see all of these drivers except for Andrew Casey, who has done a pit stop. There's nothing I can do about what it says on screen, but everybody else is not pitted yet. So just Andrew has done his pit stop. With that said, Glenn Jacobs is caught up to Drew Freiberger. Also WRT teammates. I see another battle go on between these drivers. Mason Moffitt keeping some pressure on Tony Danzig. We'll go back and forth between these 2 battles, maybe 3 battles potentially for Joe Allenson and Brandon Pfeiffer. Mason Moffitt closing the gap up to Tony Danzig as they come across the start-finish line. Going down Paddock Hill Bend. And back up the hill through Pilgrim's Rise into Druids. Tony Danzig going wide. It's going to allow Mason to gain some ground on him here. Through Cooper Straight. Mason is well within that slipstream. He's got a nice long straight coming up. If he's able to get a good exit on this corner, he will be able to catch up and potentially go for an overtake. I have to see. It looks like he may have actually been a little bit slow through there. Let's back this up to Drew Freiberger. Drew and Sean side by side as they come over the top of the hill for Pilgrim's Drop. Getting the overtake done. Sean's going to tuck back in to the slipstream there. Glenn Jacobs, you can just see just in trail of these two drivers, just barely outside the slipstream. Sean Bramer considering going for another overtake here. Drew going off track is more or less going to give him that position and allow Glenn to catch up. Glenn is now side by side with Drew as they go through Sheens. Glenn going really narrow there. Luckily that AMG was able to just clobber the curb, get away fairly scot-free. Let's move up to P4. Brandon Pfeiffer pressure on Joe Allenson ahead. Both these drivers nearly equal on pace. Different cars overall, so the Ginetta is going to have that cornering ability that the Aston doesn't. The Aston makes up for it with the raw power of that V8 into the braking zone of Druids. That Ginetta just able to gain that ground in nearly every corner. Is Brandon going to go for the overtake? Doesn't look like he just yet. Going to probably have to use the slipstream to his advantage as they go up the hill. Not quite gaining any ground here. Down the hill they go through Pilgrim's Drop into turn 5. ACC servers are still down, correct. You can join using the ACC connector though. That's how we are able to stream and continue to race today. Brandon Pfeiffer not gaining a whole lot of ground here. That's the weirdest camera angle I've ever seen. There we go. Keeping that pressure on Joe though. Into turn 9 they go. Still, he's able to just take every corner a little bit tighter, which is allowing him to stay right on Joe's tail. Into the final corner they go. Brandon Pfeiffer going just a little bit wider in the Ginetta, trying to get carry a little bit extra speed here. Joe's going to be fairly defensive, it looks like. Moving back to the racing line, the Ginetta is going to follow. Really wide entry that's going to allow him to have a lot of speed. Like we saw with Devin Anthony earlier, Brandon was able to just tuck in. Doesn't look like he's going to do it here, just trying to throw Joe off his game. Through Druids they go. Down the hill towards turn 3. You see that Ginetta just being a little bit more consistent with hitting the apexes. So he's going to stay right on his tail. He's got to wait for that one major mistake from Joe to get around him. A lot of pressure here. Brandon Pfeiffer's got to be sweating, or rather Joe Allison's got to be sweating. I don't really like this camera angle. We'll see how we go into the braking zone. You can see that Ginetta just gain a little bit of ground into the braking zone there. Yep, into the braking zone of nearly every corner that Ginetta is just able to gain ground. Up and over the hill through turn 8. We will see an overtake opportunity here arise soon. I'm sure Joe's not going to be able to hold out, I don't think. That is exactly what's going through Brandon's mind. You can see the defensiveness now. Joe went wide enough there to be slower. Joe's got to be defensive in through the final corner. That Ginetta's got the better line on the way in, is trying to tuck his way in. That Aston being as wide as the track there, blocking him off. Going to move back to the racing line. The Ginetta is going to follow. A lot of pressure. Good racing from both these drivers. Like I said, very difficult, dangerous track. So these guys doing a great job racing around each other. Joe's going to be defensive through Druids. Brandon right on his tail there. They go down the hill. Drew Cooper straight towards turn 4. And up the hill. This is not the camera angle I meant. Wanted this one. There we go. Brandon Pfeiffer not able to gain any ground on the straights. Nearly every single corner, just not the straights. Subi, yeah, for sure. Come on in. I'll stream my screen too, so you can see what I'm seeing in the things. Drag him in. Subi Dodger in voice with me. Hello, Subi.
Hello, Jeremy.
Oh, how are you? This is Subi Dodger, everybody. He has never joined in the booth ever, not one time. With that said, I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see exactly what I'm seeing. If you have the password to get in and watch your own point of view, you can do that.
Okay.
But
yeah, I was looking for the. Oh, perfect.
Yep, there's the password for you to get in and spectate. However, with that said, I'm streaming. You can see what I'm seeing live. This battle has been raging for about 3 or 4 laps now. We've seen some of the WRT guys in the back kind of battle, but they're not really going for any overtakes. You can see Joe being defensive once again into Druids. Potential side-by-side that Janetta is now stuck on the outside, not able to get turned into the apex. This is going to cause him to be a little bit slow. A lot of pressure from this Janetta.
Yeah, Allison's running the Aston for GT3s, and it's nice seeing him run it for the GT4s here as well.
The Aston is my absolute favorite car on the GT4s. I haven't really raced it in the GT3s because I like the Ford Mustang too much, but in GT4s, it is my car. Look at this. We have a potential overtake opportunity. Is he going to move it all the way inside? He's not. He's going to cause Joe to stay defensive, which may allow an overtake opportunity into the next corner. Joe's going to stay on the inside for this corner as well. Good defensive moves by Joe ahead. Down the hill they go.
Such a tricky sequence of these 3 right turns in this track.
Yep, this is a dangerous corner right here, Sheen's corner. He's able to get the overtake done. That was the best overtake I've seen in that corner ever.
That was clean.
Safe by all drivers. No real time loss. No bonking. Up and over the hill. Nobody went off track. That was great. Good overtake by Brandon.
As soon as I hopped into stream, we saw someone go off track there a little wide.
Yep. We saw JJ Burr go off there, and it looks like JJ's quit out, so decided that was it for him.
Engineers couldn't put the car back together.
Well, with that said, Joe wants his position back. He's keeping some pressure on.
Creeping up.
Yep. I want to watch this battle and see if he's able to get an overtake done. We just missed an overtake between Drew and looks like Mason actually went into the pits here is what happened. So right when we move over to Glenn, he goes off track.
Oof.
That is not commentator's curse. I don't know what is. We're going to go back up to Joe, though. I want to watch this overtake. Look, Joe's back in the lead here.
Right
just temporarily. There we go. Joe is holding it as much as he can. And has closed it off for Brandon. Brandon did all that work to get around and lost it right back again. This has allowed Devin Anthony to catch up, though. So if they keep battling too much, Devin will have the opportunity to get around one of them, or both.
This is where
Go ahead.
This is where Brandon made the overtake last corner, so we'll see how Allison adjusts this time. Looks like he's a little bit more narrow.
Yep. And Janetta is going to have that better cornering ability, so any of these corners is going to be better for Brandon. Joe is going to have that straight line speed, though. So he's got to be defensive into the corners and try and run away on the straights. It looks like he's pulling away just a little bit here. Getting some of that ground.
It can be so tough and require so much mental energy and fortitude to push on an opponent for that long. I mean, you have 40 minutes left in a race.
And a pit stop.
Maybe the Janetta. And a pit stop. Maybe the Janetta is just maybe dialing it back for just a second.
I mean, it could be.
Or maybe Allison is a fast driver, too. I mean, he could just be finding his pace.
Yep, absolutely. So right now, just looking at position gains, Joe Allenson is up 1 position. Brandon Pfeiffer's up 2 from where they qualified. So there is a little bit of difference in pace, at least during qualifying. As far as race pace goes, Allenson's fastest lap during the race was a 32.890, whereas Brandon's was a 32.522. So Brandon has a faster lap time during the race. Move back here to Sean Bramer and Drew Freiberger battling for P9. Both these drivers in the AMG. We saw a couple of little overtakes back and forth. Drew went off track at one point, allowing Sean to get back around, but it looks like Drew's closed up that gap a little bit. Might be able to go for an overtake. Up the hill they go. Drew not quite able to get a good run here. He's gained a little bit of ground, but not enough to go for an overtake into the next corner. You can see the difference in between these two drivers, or rather, not these two drivers, but like Brandon Pfeiffer, Joe Allenson, who are constantly fighting in the Pro and Pro-Am split, and see how much closer they're able to battle compared to the Am split drivers in our rookie series. So Drew and Sean both are in the Am split, and you can see how much more space they give each other, which doesn't afford them a lot of opportunity for overtakes.
You're more waiting for the driver in front of you to make more of a major mistake at that point and to capitalize rather than being right in the immediate vicinity.
Yep. Through the final corner.
Maybe on the outside?
Not going to be able to get him on the outside, but maybe a run to the inside to turn 1. Actually, it looks like he's fallen off quite a bit here. So you've got to really wait for one of those mistakes to be made. These drivers know how each other drives and how they race, so he's hoping
we had a little bit of extra time for the GT4s for this week's race as well, with Father's Day being last week.
Yep, well, a whole extra week of practice. Like I had said early on in the stream, these drivers have been waiting for a rain race. We are using live weather, forecasted rather, 24 hours before the race. So we've been waiting for rain. Their practices end up being mostly rain because the week leading up to the race is expected to be rain. And then race day is a nice, beautiful, sunny day. So, yeah, it's been quite a journey so far. One more UK race, and then 4th of July weekend, we move over to the United States, and we do a US race. I believe we're at, Watkins Glen for the finale, something like that. So
I'm actually pulling it up on some grid.
I'm pulling it up right now as well. Let's get it open. Races. The finale is at Watkins Glen. Yep. So
Drew's still sniffing.
Yep, right on Sean's tail here.
You see these drivers keep the same color scheme over from the GT3s as well.
Yep,
Drew in the yellow and purple for Sean.
Yep. Sean,
and blue for Glenn even.
Yep. They are, when my understanding is, there we go, overtake opportunity into turn 1.
Oh, this is such a dangerous corner to move on the inside.
Yep, it is. Let's see if Sean leaves the space. He does leave the space on the way in. They're going to be side by side on the way up the hill towards Druids. Into the braking zone for turn 2. Drew does get the overtake done.
Yourself. Nice.
Good overtake by Drew.
Good move. Drew and Sean have been racing together for a long time too, so it's nice to have that trust.
Yep, absolutely. My understanding is the WRT liveries, they get to pick a color and they apply it to the scheme. So whatever the color they... Ooh, Sean's driving off track here. Sean, get back in the game. Get going. With that said, we got to move up. Brandon Pfeiffer, pressure on Joe Allenson. See how we do. So they go through turn 9. Brandon Pfeiffer has been battling Joe for nearly half a race now. We're at 35 minutes left. Mason Moffitt has completed his pit stop. Andrew Casey's completed his pit stop. The rest of the drivers have not.
These are two drivers too. I don't see a time down for them in the practice spot. So I know Joe earlier said that he didn't really have a whole lot of practice on this track with the GT4s, and he was just going to send it. And
so this is a common theme I've seen from more advanced drivers, is you don't see them practice very much until race day. Ooh, look at that. Potential side-by-side coming out of Druids. That's going to force Joe to be on that defensive line. Looks like he's able to get back on the race line just before the turn. Brandon is going to carry a little bit extra speed, though. Joe's going to be defensive into turn 4. I want to commentate a little bit.
He might have to run.
I want to talk a little bit more about the livery for WRT guys, but I can't because there's always a battle going on. You know, 12 drivers on track, you'd think the battles would have relaxed at this point, but this battle between P3 and P4 has been going on for about 20 minutes now. So,
well, WRT with their big announcement and T-minus 2 days.
I know, 2 days. I'm excited to share what that announcement is with you guys. It's going to be awesome. Talking about their livery, they get one livery style. Pick your color. That's what color you get. And I believe there's a way that if I talk to Glenn about it, that he could allow the drivers to pick those colors whenever they want and change them. However, we'll have to see. It looks like we have something going on with Joe Allenson. Maybe a potential penalty. I don't know what's going on here. showing an accident. I think there may have just been a butt touch is what happened. We just missed it, though.
Slight bonk.
With that said, yeah, their liveries are nice.
Yeah,
I like them. They're simple, but they get the job done. You know what I'm saying?
The Glenn really stepped up the liveries this season. I feel like they've always been great, but each driver being able to pick out their color, Glenn now going into the pits,
Yep.
really distinguishes them on track when you see them. You know, you see the Nardo gray of Eric Metcalf and the blue of Glenn Jacobs and the unmistakable yellow of Drew Freiberger. And
I just want to point out that Tony Danzig ended up going down a couple positions. He's now in 8th. I wonder if he took fuel or tires. Is now behind Casey Swanseger after the pit stop. Andrew Casey in 11th, all alone, just hot lap mode. But he has completed his pit stop early, so these drivers are going to start pitting and moving towards him on the track. Something you don't know, Mr. Subi Dodger, is about our liveries. This GT4 livery is the OG livery.
Ah, yes.
This is the one that we based off of Toys R Us. As you can tell, we kept Lego on the car. We used to have a bunch of other toy brands on the car. See how it says my name on there?
Yeah, we just got that.
Because Devin has decided to use my livery, which is fine. Looking at Andrew Casey's, this was OG livery number 2. And he has on the front the Campbell's with Chef Boyardee over top of it. So this was our meme livery. This is what we started with. This is what got Noobs R Us's attention. People said, "Hey, that's a cool livery. I want one like that." We ended up making liveries for a bunch of people, and finally it got to the point where we were like, "All right, if we're going to be making liveries and you're going to be driving under our name, we need to make an actual team." So we made a team.
It was cool. It was cool within, I don't know, must have been the last couple of weeks. We kind of hopped in Discord and you were sharing some old pictures of the glory days when Noobs was first getting started, and now we have 700-800 members now in Discord, and
it's getting wild.
Even since I've been in here, it's been crazy just to see how much the community's grown, and there's so many good people in this community.
Well, the good people come from people like you. I mean, it's just me and Andrew that started it up. We have some decent people that ran the team with us, helped us build the league up. They are continuing to run it to this day, but the community is made up by drivers like you and everybody else in this race. Now, I get we only got 12 drivers on track for this race. This is not our main thing. Our main thing is our rookie series. You guys can watch that on Tuesday evenings. This final race coming up will have combined splits, and I'm expecting roughly 50 drivers on track with all 3 splits. So it's getting pretty wild. You know, I think the first race of this last rookie series, we had like 70 drivers. So that's the thing. That's what we're here for. This is just a kind of one-off thing that we do. We had an intermediate series that's been put on hold temporarily. We're going to be working with ORL for a little while. Joe Allenson's in the pit, by the way. Brandon Pfeiffer did not pit. We're going to have to see what happens here. As far as predictions go, they're predicting that Brandon Pfeiffer will probably stay in 4th. But we'll have to see. Anyways.
Maybe a battle going on by, is that 84 or 64?
Who are we looking at?
Is that usually
664.
Next. One back.
Yeah,
those 2 cars coming down turn 1 right now.
2 cars
going
coming
into
down turn 1.
2.
Okay, so yeah, that is 84. That's Casey Swanseger. Tony Danzig right behind. Tony trying to gain some ground after his lap 1 fiasco driving off track. With that said, though, we are going to be working with Odyssey Racing League. We're going to be putting on a mini enduro series. The longest race is only 4 hours. There's going to be live stewarding, variable weather, not heavy rain. We don't want that because we are still a rookie-friendly series, or community, rather. So we're going to see some of that. We may see some nighttime races. I don't know yet. But the way the format's going to be is Noobs R Us will host Race 1. Race 2 will be hosted by Odyssey Racing League. We're going to go back and forth. We will be hosting the streams for that. Or our race on Race 1, we'll be streaming it at Noobs R Us. For Race 2, we will be hosting the stream and racing it at Odyssey Racing League's YouTube channel. So We're going to go back and forth between channels as well. That way we work together completely in that aspect. We're also going to be sending some of our stewards over to work with their stewards in a live steward session. So our goal is to learn and to be able to do an enduro for ourselves as well. So Odyssey Racing League has 2,000 plus members. It's going to be awesome to learn from them and see how it all works. So Tony Danzig moving to the inside, sending it
Aggressive
through
move.
turn 1. That looks like either an aggressive move or Casey saying go for it. I don't know what happened in chat. That may have been a team order style overtake.
Now, for somebody who's new to stream, Jeremy, where are these stripes that we've got on the cars here?
Okay, the stripes. Each silver stripe represents one single podium. Once drivers get to 5 stripes, so if we look at Casey Swanseger, he has 4. Once they get to 5 podiums, it moves to a single gold stripe. And then you can't have any more than 4 stripes on your car. We will have a maximum of 15 podiums represented on the car. Ask me how we do 15 podiums with 4 stripes. We have another color. We have to wait to get to that other color, but it's a red stripe. Red indicates 3 podiums. And you won't see that unless we can't fit the number on there. So 3 will show up every once in a while, but it won't be there for very long, I'm sure. We will have a maximum of 3 gold stripes on a car. So that's the way it works. Casey's done a great job getting podiums. Has unfortunately never won a championship, so he does not have our championship badge on the side of his car. I don't think anybody does. Tony Danzig, I don't think he does right now. Take a look-see. Nope, he doesn't have it either. So Nico Menendez would if he were, driving a livery, but he doesn't want to do that. So with that said, it looks like Brandon Pfeiffer is just getting around some back markers of Sean Bramer there. Sean has completed his pit stop. Whoop, that's a bad camera angle once again. Sean was able to complete his pit stop. He is in last place. Glenn Jacobs getting a yellow flag. Oh my goodness. That was a self-induced bonk right there. That's some
That can be such a tricky corner. You come off that high-speed straight, and you try to maintain as much speed as you can through that right turn, and if you touch the grass there, it's just game over.
Yeah, let's see what happened. We're going to back it up a couple of seconds here and watch this whole thing as it happened. Into the turn, goes a little bit wide, misses the apex, off the corner, and it was just a touch of the gas that caused that slip. All he had to do was relax on his throttle, and you could hear him just tap the gas, and it just spun him out. Right now, the battle is between Casey Swanseger and Tony Danzig. No other real battles on track. Go ahead.
And I'll ask the stupid questions for you. Maybe somebody watching. I like to ask stupid questions. Jeremy, what's the difference between our rookie series with the GT3 and the GT4 cars specifically?
I'm sorry, you're going to have to ask that question again because I was fixing something on the stream. I just realized nobody could see the gaps between these drivers, so that was my mistake. So finally just put that up. Go ahead.
What would be the difference between our rookie GT3 series and the GT4 cars?
GT3 series is GT3 cars, so that's immediately a major difference. Much faster. We did start out Noobs R Us with a GT4 rookie series. That's where we belonged at the time. And it was successful for a season. Once we opened up the GT3 rookie series, because GT4s was getting really big, of course, everybody says, I want to drive the faster car, so we moved to the faster car. If I had my way, we would still be driving GT4s, because it's the more fun race car to drive, in my opinion. Obviously, there's more aero, there's more speed, all of that in the GT3s. So, yeah, it's a lot faster, a lot more dangerous. It's a lot harder to get good at, in my opinion, because of those differences in the cars. It is a lot less forgiving of a car. So,
I know myself personally, because I love Brands Hatch. Brands Hatch is one of my favorite tracks, and so when I saw we're running GT4s on Brands Hatch, usually I can't make Sundays, but I'll put down a couple laps on our time bot.
Yep.
And the GT4s are much different than GT3s if you've never raced them.
My
Little
goodness.
touch of the grass, good recovery.
You see how he was able to recover that, though? Even with that slip, I'm sure all he did was lift off the throttle, keep his wheel as straight as he could, and just continued back on track.
Yeah.
So, good recovery by Casey. He's now outside of slipstream from Tony Danzig, no longer battling for a position. Brandon Pfeiffer
Sure,
is yet to
Tony
do
was
his
happy to
pit.
see that in his review.
I bet you Tony was probably not sweating too much. Tony is
Yeah.
he is honestly one of the fastest GT4 drivers I've ever raced against. He joined us in GT4s. He didn't even know when he joined Noobs or Us, the team, he didn't even know that setting your pressures was a good thing to do. And he was running in the top 10 of all the drivers. So we got him set up doing his tire pressures, and he immediately was racing for podiums. So
Well, we talked earlier briefly about members of the community, and on Saturdays we have our post-race reviews, and right now on Fridays we have Andrew Casey doing the setups, and we have somebody in the community, Brown, who always had his setup set up on tire set 50.
yeah.
So he was qualifying and racing on the same set of tires, and that's what the community is all about. Just the basics. And
Here's the difference though between us and most other communities. Him as a driver came in, was going over the setup, had said, I'm on tire set 50. I'm sure the initial response is why, right? And his response was, this is what I thought. And I'm sure his thought was, well, maybe it just lets me use 50 tires for the whole race, whatever.
that's exactly what he thought.
The thing is, at that point, it was corrected, and now Brown knows how to do it, and he doesn't feel bad about it. It's not like we're putting these drivers down saying you're an idiot, whatever. No, we're here to help people learn from a bottom driver to get to a competitive level. I mean, let's see, who do we have? You, for example, coming in your first series. Go ahead and explain what happened.
I just started racing in January. It was a long winter, and that's the perfect time to get into new hobbies. And so I started racing. I have zero sim racing experience before this. I've never had a wheel. I've played Forza on a controller because I like the arcade drift stuff, but never anything like a race simulator. And when I joined Noobs, there's not even a category for how slow I was, 115% or whatever. And with our I got a shameless plug, the Pinga Mentor in our Discord. Pretty much I've asked almost everybody in our community, whether they're fast or slow, their opinions on certain things, and the output from the community has just been insane, and it still continues to be really great. Even I've moved up into Pro-Am split now. I learn something new every week being in this community, and it's great.
The thing is, with our community, nobody here is paid, which is unfortunate. If we could afford to pay people, we would. But everybody here is voluntarily giving up their time to help each other. And I mean, nearly everybody. If somebody needs help with something, nobody's really put down about it. It's just like I had asked a question in chat about a generic from Eson. He had posted a video of a race in real life that he was at, and I asked if there were GR cars there, so I didn't know which series he was in. We got a yellow flag from Glenn. Looks like Glenn is off track here. I asked what series he was at because I was curious if he was at the SRO, the GT World America stuff, and somebody goes in there and goes, no, this isn't the GT World America, this is IMSA, different cars for this and this and this, and they go about explaining all of it. Even though I knew all of this information, he went to explain it so that I understood it as if I was somebody who didn't know. So there's nobody here is putting anybody down. We're all helpful. We all understand everybody's learning. We want people to come to us, never raced before, and be able to be competitive. And it's hard to say that right now looking at Sean Bramer in nearly last place, but his first series he wasn't able to complete a race, period. We only got 12 people on this race. Sean is competing starting out in the top 10 now in the AM split for the rookies. So I mean, he's doing an awesome job as far as improvements goes. So
everybody, it's really been awesome to see. Like, even I haven't been in this community for super long. Everybody is improving, and it's just so cool to see that you've got Sean, and you got Eric, who pro scam moved up into pro-ams this season, and Glenn coming around. I wonder if he's gonna pit. He looked like he had a bit of damage. Looks like he's in the pits, yeah. And Glenn, speaking of the devil, Glenn's improved a lot this season in our GT3 series, and it's just cool to see everybody just kind of rising up together and getting faster. And
Yep, that's what we're here for. That's what it's all about. The WRT team, I know we don't talk about it a whole lot, but the WRT team is more or less the entryway into the Noobs R Us team. So if anybody's interested in joining Noobs R Us, what you would normally do is apply to be on the team. Glenn will reach out to you, pull you into WRT to race with a team in a team environment, go over the improving, how to improve, how to get better, all of that. Now, the name WRT isn't, just because it says Wreck 'em Race Team doesn't mean that, the goal is to wreck people. That was just, it was things starting out, people are new, they end up crashing. That's just the part of it. So it was made as a joke. Just like Noobs R Us, the team name was made as a joke. Me and Andrew knew that we were cruddy at racing. We were noobs. Me and him were like, you know what? Let's be Noobs R Us. That's the way it went. Yeah. So Brandon Pfeiffer is still yet to pit. I don't expect we'll see him pit in the next 5 minutes. I am going to... Ooh, got a yellow flag from Drew here. I'm going to run a quick advertisement, get it out of the way so that we are not interrupted for the last 15 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and run that. We'll be right back here shortly. But like I said, we'll still talk for the advertisement. It gives us a moment to relax our voices.
And with the WRT guys, I'm excited for their 2 days. I know Glenn, I'm sure countless others had been working hard behind the scenes for everything, and potentially a new livery for them next season. But I'm sure that'll all be announced. I feel like they come up
with a new livery every single season. So we have our OG livery, which you're seeing here. This was made nearly 2 years ago, if not more. This GT4 livery. Our GT3 livery is a remake based off of our one with the triangles on it. I love the one with the triangles on it, but it is not easy to paint onto cars. I have to hand paint every triangle on it. So make it easy on myself. We've moved these hexagons, which was easy to stamp onto cars, and it works out great. So I'm happy with the way it looks. It looks beautiful, and it adds that cool little intro starting soon thing that we got going on. I'm happy with that. All good. With that said, my prediction is showing that Brandon Pfeiffer will stay in third after his pit stop. I'm not sure if it's going to happen. We'll have to see. But right now, he is 30 seconds ahead of Joe Allenson. The pit time in the pits is predicted to be 28 seconds. So we'll have to see. Andrew Casey coming to a stop. Not going to be top 7 for this race, I'm pretty sure. Prediction in chat may be a proper prediction from Will Figgins. Advertisement is coming to an end. Devin Anthony's closing the gap up to Joe Allenson.
And speaking of improvements among the community, let's talk about the stream. How many improvements you've made to that this season?
The thing is, as far as what's going on with our stream, we have the ability to get the standard in-game camera angles for free. Okay? Completely free. And then we can use the in-game overlays as well, which I can throw them on underneath what we have here. It looks like that, right? Or that. It's kind of hard to see with the other overlays on top, but it's got the information. We can use that, and we will be using that for the SRO stuff. But we've got new camera angles we did have to pay for. They're expensive, so I can do this. I can get a cool camera angle you don't get otherwise. I can do that. We've got our starting grid camera angle. We've got a bunch of other ones that I don't have quite access to. We got the front splitter we can use. All of these are cool and easy and great. With this as well, we've got these overlays you're seeing on the screen. These overlays aren't what we want. What you may have seen, the old overlays with all that extra information on it, like the little lineup and stuff for qualifying, all of that, that's the overlays we want to use, but we're having issues with the programs working together. So right now we're using these overlays, which allows us to have a little bit of customization along with the camera angles. This program is expensive. We had to pay over $100 for it, and it doesn't work with our other programs. So, and the other one is paid for as well. So there's improvements as far as production value and what you guys see. It's just not up to par where we want it. So we're happy that you guys are happy, but us behind the scenes, we're not quite as happy. So with all of that said,
always gotta be something.
Devin Anthony has closed this gap up a little bit to Joe Allenson. Now right on his tail as they go down turn one. We're approaching the final 10 minutes of the race. I'm expecting to see Brandon Pfeiffer at any point pop out of the pits directly in front of these two as they battle. Now, Joe does not want to battle Brandon, or does not want to battle Devin, because he wants to try and get up and get around Brandon when Brandon goes into the pits.
And he's so close to a 2 second, there's that 32 second. And that when you exit the pit, you exit directly onto turn one, and it can be so awkward. It's really going to be interesting to see Brandon come out of the pits there.
Yep, absolutely. Hello, Extension Kurt in chat. Are the servers still down? The server browser in-game is still down, yes. We were able to connect using a thing called ACC Connector. You can go to Google and find it. And then using ACC servers, you can go to Google and find that and kind of combine the two up to connect. So the servers are not down, just the way that you connect is. Yep. Devin losing a little bit of time as they go through turn 8, I believe is what that is, and then through clearways, turn 9, I guess it is, into the final corner. Brandon Pfeiffer still yet to do his pit. Neither has Nico or Ilpo. Ilpo has run away from Nico, 20 seconds ahead of him. Nico is nearly 15 seconds ahead of Brandon Pfeiffer. So a lot of hot lapping from those drivers. Brandon had a lot of racing in the first half of the race. Once Joe went into the pits, he's had relax mode. We know that Brandon is fairly quick and probably quicker than Joe. So hopefully he was able to gain some ground and run away. It looks like he's 32 seconds, 33 seconds ahead of Joe. Still has to pit. Can you repeat how I was able to connect to the servers? I will just post links for you. Or you can join our Discord and find it in there. You can find some information in there, but here's number 1. Go there, follow the instructions. And then ACC servers. And here's the next link. You can use this one to find your server to connect to. Using that, and it opens up the ACC connector and allows you to connect through the LAN portion in-game, the LAN. So you've got to let the server browser say that the servers are down, and then you go to LAN and it'll be in there. So thank you for the follow, Extension Kurt. Appreciate it. Devin Anthony right on the tail of Joe Allenson. Joe's got to be defensive again. I feel like he's the number 1 driver today for being defensive. He's had to block every single part of the race almost.
He's getting a lot of practice in tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw that awesome overtake between Brandon and Joe early on, and then the back and forth that happened between them. I think Joe said, I'm going to go in and pit and just get that out of the way. Got a white flag from Casey being slow here, I guess. May have just slipped and slowed down. Same for Glenn. Like those drivers are able to recover and continue on. Devin. Ooh, a little bit off track through turn 1. Right. Up towards Druids into the braking zone. Want to see this pit stop from Brandon. Go ahead.
That can be such a tricky corner when you're coming down turn 1. It kind of cambers and drops off so sharply that when I race in VR, I can only imagine in real life, it just feels like you're sending it down that hill. And that gravel,
I believe it's a 3-story drop. So,
yeah.
So if next time you're in VR, get out of the car, like stand up, move out, and just stand and look down that hill and just tell me how it feels. So I'm sure it's a small
train, maybe turn 4 with
Looks like a 204. That's Ilpo leading this train here, and then
Okay.
Casey Swanseeger, and then Mason Moffett catching up behind. Casey did have that screw up, it seemed, the lap prior, which caused him to back off a little bit, but he's kind of pulling away as we go through that back straight into turn 5. So I have to see if Mason's able to gain any ground here. Devin is now off as well from Joe. I think I'm going to make a prediction that what you're seeing here, as long as nobody messes up, this will be our final results for the race. Last 8 minutes of the race. P1, 2, and 3 have yet to pit. Andrew Casey has quit out, so he's not finishing top 7. And that was the prediction in chat. That's why I keep saying that. So the prediction in chat was
Twitch back up.
the prediction in chat early was where will Andrew finish in top 7? And there were 5,000 points saying he won't and 60 points saying he will. So I think somebody went all in on that. And Nico Menendez is chilling. Devin Anthony's gaining the ground back up to Joe Allenson ahead. Down Pilgrim's Drop towards turn 5. Does this game have a handbrake? If it does, you don't use it in this game. This is GT racing, so you're not going to see handbrakes too much in this game.
Well, you can recover with the drift through a corner. It's not the preferred method.
No, not at all. I don't believe that handbrakes is used. You just started playing yesterday. Well, boy, do I have some news for you. Subi, I'm going to hand it off to you for the news.
Extension cord? Extension curd?
Curd,
Extension curd.
Yep.
Here at Noobs R Us, we like to invite all drivers, experienced or not. First time playing, I'm a sidetrack here. I'm gonna tell a story of our boy Sean Bramer. Sean Bramer bought a wheel and ACC on the same day and was racing in a Noobs R Us race that evening, if I remember the story correctly.
He was driving the Porsche 911, the old one, crashed a million times.
And so I definitely, I'm sure there's a link maybe in Twitch or something. Check us out in the Discord if you're playing on PC. If you're on console, maybe you should have gotten a PC instead. No, I'm just kidding. Console's fine.
Yeah, we're PC only. That's true.
If you're on PC, check us out on SimGrid. Check us out on Discord. We've been talking earlier on how the community is. We really like to foster, any stupid questions. I've asked plenty of them. So yeah, we definitely love to have you on board. See you in our rookie series and maybe in our GT4 series.
Yeah, so feel free to join. We're finishing up our rookie series Tuesday evening. Feel free to join in the stream. You can't join the race on Tuesday because it is the finale. And then 2 to 3 weeks after that, we'll be starting up our next rookie series. In the evenings on Tuesdays. We have 3 splits. Look at this battle going on. 3 splits. The AM split, the Pro-Am split, and then the Pro split. Join whatever split you feel most comfortable in. You'll be moved around as necessary based on your pace. And if you're faster than everybody else, you would just be moved to the Pro-Am split. We've got how many drivers in each split right now? Like 30 almost in both splits?
Yeah.
So got a couple different battles going on. Mason Moffett sending it to the inside. Final corner on Casey Swanseeger. Casey leaving the space for him. Not quite able to get the overtake done. Going to hold that position for now.
Devin Anthony on the outside.
Devin Anthony's been keeping pressure on Joe Allenson. We haven't watched a whole lot of battles going on. I want to point out that Nico Menendez has done his pit, is in 3rd right now. So he's done his pit. Brandon Pfeiffer still has a pit stop to do. We're in the last 4 minutes of the race. So we're probably going to see, yep, there's Elpo in the pits now. Brandon's likely going to jump into the pits. Got disqualified a few times for speeding in the pit. Well, here at Noobs R Us, we have workshops. So we do pit stops.
To shameless plug our Enduro series, I did my first Enduro with Carl Banning and Joe Allenson a couple weeks ago and just at ACM. And in Joe's pit to swap me out, we got a stop and go 30. and then I got to stop and go 30 trying to clear the previous. So it's getting disqualified or getting to stop and go off a start because you're misplaced. We had somebody run into that a couple weeks ago at Olton. Those are mistakes you only make once or very few times because they penalize you pretty well.
Yep.
For a reason.
Yep, absolutely. While we were talking about this earlier, we said Brandon Pfeiffer is going to come out of the pits at any moment ahead of these two guys battling. You can see he came out just ahead of these two battling. So Joe Allenson is 2.5 seconds off of Brandon Pfeiffer. I believe Brandon was fairly relaxed on his last bit of hot lapping he did. So my guess is he's going to hold that lead. 2 minutes left in the race, 3 minutes left in the race. I don't think Brandon's going to give up that position. Joe now has Devin Anthony still behind. Casey Swanseger battling. Looks like Mason's going to get this overtake done into Druids. Most likely, yeah, there's the overtake completed. Devin Anthony's going to be keeping that pressure on Joe Allenson to try and get 4th overall. And Joe, I don't think he's going to catch up to P3.
And Devin and Joe, they may be in a call together. They may, try to work something out instead of trying to battle. Maybe they'll try to move up together. But unless we see, knock on wood.
Ooh. Sorry to interrupt you. We had an off track from P2. Nico Menendez. They are so far ahead of P3 though. Even with that off track, he's not gonna lose any positions here.
A rare off track from Nico. He's so consistent.
Yep. Reading in the chat. I'm new to this sport. I got disqualified a few times for speeding the pits. Some of the rules are odd. Like if I'm exiting the pit, I want to go full throttle. Yeah, you can't do that. You see this pressure from Devin Anthony once again on Joe. Down the hill they go, and then up the hill towards Druids. A little bit of defensiveness from Joe. Joe has been, like we said, racing the entire race. He had a little bit of time where he didn't have to race. And then Devin was able to catch up, and now he's got to battle again and try and be defensive again. So he's definitely a competent defensive driver. We saw that earlier when he was battling Brandon Pfeiffer. And now he's got to do it again for the last minute and a half against Devin Anthony. So
we have, just looking at the standings here, we have Joe Allenson currently in 10th and Devin in 15th, but they're only... Looks like they're 8 points off of each other here.
Yeah, so let me take a quick look at the standings as well. Yeah, Brandon Pfeiffer is in 4th, though, so Brandon's going to want to hold that position and stay there. Yep. We did have a drop race, so that's something that we're seeing as well. This race is definitely going to count for points towards these drivers. I'm sure that's going to move them up substantially in the standings over a couple of these drivers. Devin Anthony looking to the inside, moving back to the outside for the final corner. The race is over, I believe. Is that correct? Or are we on the final lap? We're on the final lap. So, final lap. Ilpo is in the lead still, 27 seconds ahead of Nico after his slip up. But you can see that pressure that Devin is keeping on Joe here. Backing off a little bit through the front straight because, once again, this is a dangerous corner to try and go for the overtake. Into the braking zone for the first corner. Devin's able to gain a little bit of ground. As they go up the hill towards Druids, you saw Brandon Pfeiffer across the screen there. 3.5 seconds ahead now of these two since they've been battling.
And another battle kind of developing at the end of the back straight, the last corner between 87 and 84. I can't remember whose cars those are.
87 is Mason Moffitt. We saw him overtake Casey Swanseger earlier, and Casey has not really moved outside of the slipstream. So, battle or not, these guys are crossing the start-finish line for their final lap. We may see an overtake opportunity arise from these two. We may not. But, like I said, we started with 14 drivers. We're down to 11. Had some pretty good bonks. But my goal, or what I tell most of these newer drivers in these kind of races is your goal is to finish the race. You know, we got people who are brand new.
It's not over till it's over.
Exactly. So Ilpo's crossing the line in first. He has stayed in first for every single race. We're waiting for a rain race for him. Nico Menendez nearly 30 seconds off of the pace right now because of his slip. He was 15 seconds in trail, but went off track. But he's going to cross the line in P2. P3 is going to be Brandon Pfeiffer. As long as he doesn't make a mess up through the final corner, I want to watch this battle between Joe and Devin as they go into the final corner now. Devin is right on the tail of Joe Allenson. See some brake lights flashing there. That's saying good job. The flashing of the lights. These two drivers congratulating each other for battling and not getting into each other. 4th place for Joe. 5th for Devin. Tony Danzig, his prediction was Andrew Casey's going to kill him during the race. I don't think Andrew Casey killed him. I think he went off track and just lost some time, which put him down in 6th place at the finish. There's the drift. Not even using the
no handbrake needed.
Not even using a handbrake for that. Mason Moffitt will be in 7th as he comes through the finish line. Casey Swanseeger half second in trail. Maybe another lap or two, Casey would have caught up. Maybe there's been another battle. And then P9, Drew Freiberger was lapped down. Sean Bramer, P10 was 2 laps down. And then Glenn, his last time driving the WRT car into a wall. So he's getting rid of his WRT. There is going to be an announcement from the WRT guys soon. With that said, I'm going to quickly answer the question here. Are all of these guys using a race wheel? Yes. Most everybody uses a race wheel. We do have some people on a rookie series that are on a controller, and that's fine. So with that said, we may have some post-race interviews to be had. Subi, would you like to do those?
Yikes. Sure.
Yeah, big yikes. Let's get P1 and P2 in here. We'll wait for P3 to jump in. But I'll hand it off to you, Subi. You get to do your first post-race interview. Have at it.
Oh, boy. All right. Ilpo, sir. GT4 Master.
I don't know about that. It was...
Are you, between helping everybody out in the Discord and just dominating the GT4 series,
are you bored?
Are you worried? Ever?
Are you bored?
I mean,
stress out?
I mean, I was a little bit stressed out in quali because I couldn't get a good lap. And it was much closer than I was expecting. And also, Burr was picking with me pretty well early on. I thought he was pushing really hard, so I was pushing a little bit harder than I would normally, just to see if I could get a mistake out of him. And I guess it worked.
He did.
But...
He was coming out of Dingledell and then up the hill. He went wide and just touched the grass and slipped. So he ended up in a wall, went into the pits, and then ended up quitting. So you did end up... You made him rage quit, Ilpo. How do you feel about that?
No, that's unfortunate. I mean, obviously I was trying to do everything I can to win, but you never really want to win like that. I mean, it would have been more fun to have a battle. So.
As someone whose drop race has been because they only came in first place, what advice would you give somebody who's just getting into GT4s or is looking to improve in the GT4 category?
The GT4s are in some ways, I mean, they are more forgiving in some ways, but they are also less forgiving for things like braking too late. Like, especially in high-speed corners, if you carry too much entry speed, you're gonna crash. So, figuring out how to not do that. And like, I think I said it the last time around. I don't think I'm so much faster than many of these faster guys here. It's just that I'm much more consistent. I can keep doing the same lap over and over and over for hours on end. And I think that's the bigger difference right now than like pure... I mean, obviously there's a little bit of pace difference, but it's not as big as you might think. It's much more just understanding how to not try to do quali laps when you're racing, because that doesn't work. You need to back off that tiny bit to have the margin. Because I made mistakes. I was pretty close to crashing a couple of times, but I had just enough margin to save myself. And I think that's how you get good race results in general, is to just take whatever points you can every single time. If you don't have the pace, well, you don't have the pace. You just take whatever you can.
Right. And with the last 2 races of this series coming up for Donington Park and Watkins Glen, are you worried about either of those tracks? Or?
Watkins, I am absolutely not worried at all, because my car is the correct choice for that one. So, I mean, the McLaren, if any of the fast drivers were in the McLaren, I might be slightly concerned, but not much. But
right,
other than that...
I want to just talk to you really quick, because we were talking about Donington, right? We've driven all these UK tracks to try and give you the rain race that you want, and it just hasn't happened. Donington next week, I got some bad news for you. We're looking at a nice, beautiful sunny day with 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So, probably not going to see any rain there. However, Watkins Glen, this week's going to be thunderstorms. So next week, the following week, you might see thunderstorms there too. Surprising that we saw 5 UK tracks with no thunderstorms, and we might see one in the US. So, is weather going to be any factor for you at Watkins Glen to make that any worse for you, Oppo?
I don't think so. It's a little bit tricky to say because I'm not sure how the BOP would play out in wet. Generally, the KTM would be super good in wet, but Watkins Glen is a really bad track for it because of that extremely long full throttle section. So,
Oh no.
so yeah, I don't know. I've also driven Watkins Glen in fully flooded conditions in the past for like 90-minute race. So I kind of have an edge on the experience, I suppose.
Okay. Well, speaking of the KTM, I would like to move on to our P2 driver, Nico Menendez. Nico, hello. How are you?
Hello. I'm doing fine. A little bit exhausted after that.
Yeah, you were doing a lot of hot lapping, we saw, and then we saw one big mistake that, if you didn't recover in a timely manner, could have cost you P2. So what happened there?
Brother, this race felt like I was trying my absolute hardest to take myself out for the entirety of the thing. It was just mistake after mistake, and yeah, I just couldn't get the thing to go around there safely.
So I heard some complaints about the KTM earlier today from a name I'm not going to mention. His name was Nick Kanya, but I'm not going to mention his name. What are your thoughts on the KTM this season? Have you been enjoying it? Do you dislike it? What's your thoughts?
Oh, it's very enjoyable. It's very fun because it's a very nervous car. Like the thing just sometimes it doesn't turn, and sometimes it just turns too fast, and without anything in between. You gotta be very. It feels like a knife's edge where the limit is, from like when you're being fast and when you're over the limit. Like in order to be remotely competitive, you have to be on the limit, and it's very easy to get over the limit.
Well, I'm happy to see you continuing to drive it. I'm hoping to see more actual racing in the next couple of weeks from you top 3 drivers. Well, I can't say top 3 drivers, but you top 2 drivers. Speaking of top 3, I want to talk to Mr. Brandon Pfeiffer. Pfeiffer, how are you?
I was about to say, first like half of my race, I was about an inch off of other people's bumpers.
We watched nearly that entire battle between you and P4. Who was that we're watching? I've already forgotten names because I'm so terrible with them. Joe Allenson. You put so much pressure on him to make a mistake, and the time you got around him, he ended up getting it back from you. What happened with all of that?
Yeah, I was sitting here waiting. I was like, surely, this is the 8th lap. I'm right on his tail. Surely he's going to brake late or something. And he was doing exactly what he needed to do. I could tell he would brake just to, if it looked like I was going to get a better exit, he would, set up for the next corner where I wouldn't be able to take advantage of it. And yeah, I completely forget. I got past him and was so proud of it because it was kind of a real narrow pass on that tricky turn. And then, yeah, I screwed up the very next lap. I think I just went in too deep.
Yeah,
I was struggling with understeer occasionally with the Ginetta, but I think it was more just me trying to carry too much speed in.
I believe you went into the pits while you were behind him. Is that correct?
No.
Or no. I'm sorry. He went into the pits while he's in front of you. Is that how that worked?
He went into the pits after I passed him the second time.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he went wide and then he pit, and I was. If the fight wasn't for a podium spot, I probably would have pit soon after just to keep it interesting. But I had no traffic for pretty much the rest of the race.
And that's something we were talking about, is you were able to just kind of get some good hot laps in, get those corners nailed, and just kind of try to run away. But he was so consistent during the race that the prediction for the pit stop was that he was going to be 2 seconds in trail of you when you came out of the pits, and that's exactly what happened. You came out of the pits, he was 2.5 seconds in trail. You did have the advantage though, because he was battling with Devin Anthony behind for that last little bit too. So if they weren't battling, I think maybe a couple more laps, he would have probably got back up behind you.
I think so as well, because I also pulled too far forward into my grid spot and they had to move me back. So I was panicking and thinking that I was actually going to come out potentially behind him, but got lucky.
Brandon, you are in contention for podium in points. Are you worried about the next couple of tracks? Next week is going to be, what do we say, Donington Park, and then Watkins Glen for the finale?
Yeah, Donington, I feel like the Geno's probably okay there. I mean, I know there's the one long straight, but I feel like Sector 1, it's going to be really solid through, and that can maybe make up for it. Watkins Glen, though, I'm going to get obliterated in Sector 1. I know that.
We did talk to the other drivers for just a short period of time based on weather. We've done all these UK tracks that were supposed to be rainy, and then hopefully a nice sunny day in the United States for the finale during 4th of July weekend. It seems to be opposite on that, where it's been nothing but sunny days for UK races, and Watkins may end up being rain. Is rain going to make you any more nervous or anything for the finale?
Less so, actually.
Okay.
I love driving in the rain.
Okay, good. Well, with all of that said, I want to say thank you guys for being in here. Thanks for coming in and chatting with us. I want to also say thank you to Shane for joining me mid-race.
Thanks for having me.
Joining up in the booth. Happy to have you guys here. We're hoping for more drivers next week. We did have a week off that could have caused some little bit of mishaps in people's joining. The servers were kind of iffy, so you have to join a weird way. So yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for racing, and we'll talk to you guys next week. I'm going to move over to the chat. Anybody have any last little thing they would like to say before I kick you guys out of this voice chat?
Hopefully. Sorry.
Nico, I heard Jeremy say that if you ran a noob's livery, he would take the restrictor off of your KTM. How do you feel about that?
What?
There's no restrictor in my KTM.
He's got a negative BOP. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I hope next week and the following, JJ Burr and Tony are up to speed where, like they're challenging drivers to me in this car, and it's been fun the races prior. So I hope they can keep it together for next week so we can have some more fun battles.
All right. With that said, I'm going to answer one question in chat. If are you still here? If you're here, please say yes, and I'll answer your question. In the meantime, we will be streaming again on Tuesday. Nico, are you going to be streaming as well?
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay, we'll be streaming next week. Nico will be streaming in Spanish on his channel. We'll be hosting our rookie series. That'll be on Tuesday evening around the same time as this race, an hour later, actually. It's the finale, a 90-minute race, pit stop. I believe it's an evening race with changing temperatures. So for our rookies, it's a fairly difficult thing to get. They've had a lot of practice, 5 races leading up to this, a lot of improvements we've seen. I'm excited for the finale. It's at Suzuka, which is an awesome track. And we'll be happy to see you guys there. We'll be starting up our next rookie series 3 or so weeks after that. We have a mini endurance series going on with the ORL. So feel free to sign up for that in SimGrid. With all that said, I see a yes in chat, so I'm going to answer your question. I'm just going to send you a couple of links. It's called ACC Connector, actually developed by the person in here right now, Ilpo. Hello, Ilpo. Would you like to talk about how your connector works?
I mean, it's kind of simple. So the game has a LAN mode where it basically sends a broadcast to the local network asking, hey, is there a server anywhere here? And if there is, the server sends a packet back. So what my tool does is that it kind of fakes the responses. So it detects when the game is trying to find LAN servers, and instead of those, it just, well, actually, in addition, so it doesn't break the normal LAN functionality, but in addition, it fakes any server into that LAN server list.
It forces an online server into your LAN list. So basically, once you have it all installed, you have your server set to it using that server list I just sent in chat. It'll connect to it. It'll show it in there. The hook set. All you got to do is go into server browser, let it fail, and then click LAN, and your servers will show up in there. It's just a roundabout way to get to the server. It connects all the same. There's no issues with connectivity. It's the same connection. It's just gone through a different way. So, Ilpo, thank you for making that possible for us to race tonight, because without you, we would not have our race tonight. So, thank you, sir.
I made it so that I can race more. So,
all right, if you have any other questions, join our Discord. You can find that. I'm gonna put the SimGrid there. If you have any other questions, jump in the Discord and ask. We'll get you connected that way too. With all that said, we're gonna end the stream for the night. I do want to find somebody to host, but I don't think we're gonna see many ACC streams. So let's see what we got on Twitch. Let me pull it up. Is anybody streaming any racing at all? What do you guys think? Give me a prediction. Yes or no?
ACC.
ACC. We 37 viewers. We got some people in ACC. I don't know. Let's find. I don't have anybody that I'm following streaming any sort of racing, which is weird. Any iRacers going on? I don't know, guys. I think we're just going to end it tonight. We're not going to give any hosts out because I don't know anybody else right now, and nobody's really streaming. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you guys on Tuesday with Nico streaming the Spanish side. Excited to be here. Excited for the finale. Excited to see what WRT's announcement is. And we'll see y'all later. Have a good night.